And what we're saying is, hey, to hit the ball solid, I want to feel like my left hip stays lower than my right, and my left hip is going to work down and forward.
Yes.
And if we're doing that right, the visual you showed, that butt of the club and that stick stays pointed pretty much down towards the ground.
Absolutely.
And that's really what I feel when I do this, for the contact. If we were to do this the wrong way, which would be, let's say, left hip going up right away, the stick goes up towards the sky and that early release comes in.
Yes.
And there goes our contact.
Exactly.
Hey guys, Eric here out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're going to talk about the perfect iron swing, 2 really important moves to start your downswing, help your contact hit the ball higher and farther. Right before we dive in, just a quick word from one of our sponsors. Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the hanger training aid. Now, I don't know if you've seen this or used this before, but it is absolutely my new favorite training aid. This hanger here creates and controls what I think is the most important part of the swing, which is the wrist angle. It snaps right on. It takes me probably 30 seconds to put on. I can put it right in my golf bag. And best of all, the main trait of a training aid that's really good is you can hit balls with it. You can actually hit balls with it. So I love this hanger training aids. I've been using it probably for the past 6 to 7 weeks in my own game. You may have seen me in videos talk about, hey, I'm really trying to get my left wrist flat at the top. Look at when I do that well, how that sits on my forearm. Now watch when I cut my wrist, how that comes off. Immediate feedback for where my wrist angle's at. I like to use this even during my takeaway. When I set it up here, I like to keep it between my arms during my takeaway, press it against my left wrist for flat left wrist at the top, press it more against. Look at when I press it against, how that shallows my shaft. It keeps my club face square to close, helps me hit from inside. So I absolutely love this. I firmly believe that this is good for every single golfer. There's no one that can have too flat of a left wrist. One of the few things that all good ball strikers have, we're trying to have. Flat left wrist, right? Super easy to use, incredible immediate feedback. With the coupon code GogornoGolf.com, it's only $59, and I can actually hit balls with it and get instant feedback. Yes, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's about as compressed as I can hit a ball. And that's the main point of this hanger, iron compression. You're gonna absolutely love it. We'll put all the details down in the description down below. All right, guys, so today with us, Mr. JT Thomas. JT, thanks for coming out, man.
Of course, man.
Appreciate it. You've seen JT in some of our videos before. We coach together on CogornoGolf.com, do some in-person coaching together. JT is an awesome indoor place, dollar bill divot club up in Staten Island. Staten Island, New York. So if you guys are up in that area, be sure to check that out. Touch base with JT. Some awesome lessons. So in today's video, perfect downswing. I think there's 2 key concepts, and obviously, with us coaching together online, I get to see a lot of the feedback that goes on.
For sure.
And this is something that comes up a lot because a lot of the players we work with need to improve here.
Yes.
And so what we're talking about with the irons are 2 moves that we think are super important and sort of a 2-step process that you use to first get the players to really strike the ball solid.
Yeah, to get the handle forward.
Handle forward, some shaft lean. And then the second piece for a little shaft shallowing, hit it a little higher, a little farther, etc.
Yes.
And so if you would, maybe we'll do a little true and false, right? So in this video, we're looking at the left hip and the right shoulder, right? And if we think about it, like there's 3 different options that these can work. My
and
left,
what we see most often, right? These are the 3 that we see most often.
the 3 like combinations.
Yes.
So my left hip can go up or down, right? Let's just say my left hip can go down towards the ground or up towards the sky. And my right shoulder can go up or down, right? And so what we're trying to do is move those 2 or combine those 2 movements to strike the ball solid. And what we see would be these 3 patterns. Pattern 1 would be when I start the downswing, my left hip goes down and my right shoulder stays high.
Yes. That's over the top, that's steep.
That would be the down and left, right? Hitting too far down on it, kind of the pull, slice sort of pattern. Left hip down, right hip high, maybe good body rotation, but too far over the top, right?
Not a playable swing direction.
Not a playable swing direction. Maybe low point forward for a little bit, but issues with that. The second option would be the opposite, right? Left hip goes up, right shoulder goes down. This maybe is a better player problem. I sometimes fall into that category.
Player problem.
And what am I? I'm too far inside here.
Yep, struggling with fat shots. really having to kick the club across, lose shaft lean.
Low point behind the ball.
Yeah, pull hooks, pull draws.
Face control issues. So we don't want left hip down, right hip high. We also don't want left hip up, right shoulder down. But we do want left hip down, right shoulder down.
Exactly.
Right? That's the combo move.
That's the combo that we want.
Why don't we flip-flop spots?
Yeah. And so the way that we usually teach this is to help our students learn to get the left pelvic tilt first. And the reason this is important is because that's what moves the low point forward or gets the handle more forward. And so obviously everybody wants to get the handle more forward. Everybody wants to hit it lower, hit it farther.
Yeah.
And so left pelvic tilt is how we do that. And so a really easy drill or easy concept that I have my students do first is kind of take a half swing here. So go to about lead arm parallel to the ground. And then from here, our first goal is really to get our pelvis to start tilting to the left to start the downswing. And we don't really care about what the shoulders do. They open, they close. It's not really the goal. The main goal really is understanding how we use this left pelvic tilt to start to get the handle forward. So you would just grab a club, basically put an alignment stick on the other side of it, take it about halfway back. And then you'll notice if you start to move into left pelvic tilt, the club will start to move, or this alignment stick will start to move towards the ball, or the butt of the club will start to go forward. And that's how we continue to use that force into the ball to get some shaft lean. So I would just have, one of my students take a really easy small swing here, going halfway back, do a couple of rehearsals of trying to get some left pelvic tilt, understanding that that moves the butt end of the club along to help us get some shaft lean, and just bunt some out there, try and do that motion. And so we hit it pretty low when we do that, maybe 50 to 100 yards. And that would be the first concept that we want to try and do, to get in the left pelvic tilt that helps us get the shaft forward. Now, as we do that, the shaft may look too steep on video. If you're recording it, it could be too shallow, whatever it may be. Most of the time, it's going to be a little bit too steep, and that's where the right side bend comes in.
And as we're going down, like, let's just say this, let's look at this again. I think that's such a good visual that you brought in with the stick. If we do this correctly, right, and what we're saying is, hey, to hit the ball solid, I want to feel like my left hip stays lower than my right, and my left hip is going to work down and forward.
Yes.
And if we're doing that right, the visual you showed, that butt of the club and that stick stays pointed pretty much down towards the ground.
Absolutely.
And that's really what I feel when I do this, for the contact. If we were to do this the wrong way, which would be, let's say, left hip going up right away, the stick goes up towards the sky and that early release comes in.
Yes.
And there goes our contact.
Exactly.
And so as we're feeling this, as I'm doing those rehearsals, I'm going to just do a couple JTs to feel that. I'm feeling left hip down, down and forward, and I'm feeling the butt of the club kind of pointed towards the ground, just a little bit initially.
Exactly.
Just a little bit initially. And my goal with these, especially if I'm someone who releases early or struggles with shaft lean, is solid contact.
Yeah.
Let me just do a little one. Left hip down, butt of the club stays down. Yeah, and that's solid.
Yeah, really good.
And if I was looking on video, right, because we work with a lot of people who send in their swings and they look like this at impact. Like, man, how come I can't get shaft lean? I can't get shaft lean. So as a starting point, without seeing anything else, them learning how to do this motion. And what a good way to practice this. I just want to bring this back in. What a good way, like you said here, left hip down, keep the stick down. Am I doing that right?
Yeah, perfect.
Left hip down, keep the stick down.
I think another good feel that we've used, on Facebook is getting the belt buckle towards the lead knee.
Belt buckle towards the lead knee.
That's another, trying to get it to go down towards the lead knee is another good feel.
I really like the visual of that butt of the club too, JT. So left hip down, like the butt of the club stays pointed towards the ground for a second.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, that's solid, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, super compressed.
Now, so that would be step one.
Yes.
And obviously we're doing a video here that's sort of 2 steps. We're skipping along. But in terms of a contact piece, we would want them to learn that first.
Yeah, we definitely want them to learn that first, just because, again, that moves the handle forward, gets the low point under control, And then the second piece that we talk about is how to shallow out that strike. So we want to be a little bit steeper on these when we're doing this. That's why we're pointing that butt of the club towards the ground. And
and by steeper, like the club head working a bit more down.
Exactly, yeah. Working a bit more down. Make sure you're hitting the ground. A lot of guys come in, never take divots.
Yes.
Or if they do take a divot, stuck in the ground. So we kind of want to learn how to hit the ground in the right spot.
First things first.
First things first. Yep.
So first things first, take a divot, hitting the ground, left hip down, butt of the club stays pointed down first. Now, just as a quick reference, if someone is recording and they're like, hey, how do I know if I've done this enough? Something along the lines of like the hands in line with the leg or shoe at impact.
Exactly.
You cool with that?
Yes.
That would be like a good, like, hey, I've done this enough.
Yep.
If I feel like I'm doing that and my shaft's still back here, I probably need to feel more.
Yes, and for longer too.
For longer.
Yep.
For longer.
For longer.
The
for
timing.
For a longer time.
So now let's say we do that and this motion comes in, but my shaft's way over here.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So from just a feel perspective, is it as simple for the player as feeling, hey, as my left hip goes down, as I'm feeling that, my right shoulder's getting closer to my right
pocket?
hip?
Yeah, exactly.
Like an oblique crunch sort of feel?
Crunch, yep. So an expanding on one side, we're feeling the left side get expanded and the right side getting lower.
So my left side's getting wider and my right side's crunching.
Yes. And a good feel for that would be,
I'll
get in there really quick and kind of show you here. You can just hold the club literally like this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold the club like this, and then practice trying to get some right side bend, so getting this right crunch as this left side is expanding. So this left side getting taller, the right side going kind of down and forward.
And I would be having my left hip going lower first. As we're, got it.
And this is just a great feel, and you can just hold it with your left hand and then try and do it with your right hand and mimic your right palm kind of hitting the ball.
Yeah, okay.
So this would be how you would feel it. Go back. Get that left pelvic tilt first. You should feel as you do that too, that club will start to want to come just a little bit out. That's the steepening part that we talked about to help us get the shaft.
And that's from the pelvic tilt?
Yes, that is from the pelvic tilt.
And we're offsetting that.
Correct, with the right side bend.
Okay.
So we have to have a little bit of both. We can't have too much right side bend. That's the better players that we see that come to us that struggle with pushes and hooks, right? And so they need to have a little bit of the steepness or just the left pelvic tilt to help move the handle forward, straighten out the swing direction.
Perfect. So I just want to hit a couple of those feels. I think for me, when I'm combining them, now I'm coming from a place of going too far this way. So for me, my shaft would get too far under pushes and hooks. So I likely need to feel the left hip lower longer. And a little bit more of the shaft out this way just to get to neutral. Yes. So if you're a player who's more push hook pattern, likely more of that.
Yes.
If you're a player who's more pull fade,
pull slice,
likely the side bend piece.
You can feel the side bend a lot. Yes.
And maybe longer.
And longer.
Okay. So if I'm putting those together, left hip down, left hip down and forward, and like around, right shoulder getting closer to my hip.
Okay. And I would do these two slow with the intent of you just took some divots on the range or you just hit the mat pretty hard from doing the left pelvic tilt.
Okay.
And so we need to understand, okay, I'm hitting the ground too hard now. I have some nice shaft lean. I have some nice compression. The ball's going lower, but I need to shallow out that strike. And so how am I going to do that? That's when we start implementing this. So
and
that's
it's really
how you know.
Easy to see it. Maybe we'll do a little after this, like a Tommy Fleetwood model from Face Ons are really easy to see the pelvic tilt and the side bending.
Yes.
So if I just kept pelvic tilting and I just kept going forward, I don't want my head to go forward with it and my shoulders go way open. There's the big divot but left. So as I side bend, look at the shaft from down the line and look at my head from face on.
Exactly.
Recenters the head.
Yes.
And gets the shaft back online.
Yep.
Left hip lower for contact, right shoulder lower for ball flight, height, power. Okay. Let's put it to the test here, JT.
Let's do it.
Left hip lower, right shoulder lower. Well, we were going to title this, what JT, and I quote, called this was the secret sauce.
Secret sauce.
Left hip lower, right shoulder lower.
The sauce.
And I can feel right away because I overdo the side bending piece early.
That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. So like for me, I need to feel the left hip lower longer and a little bit more of that stick. Like when I did just that, that's perfect. So maybe I would do one or two of these.
Yeah. And the good news is we can get direct feedback from our ball flight. So obviously we're always recording when we're practicing. You guys should always be recording if you aren't. But the ball flight will really, really help us. So Eric just hit a little bit of overdraw. So what
JT, don't tell him.
So what that means is that he was in right side bend a little too early. The shaft got too much under the plane. So he's working on a drill now to keep it a little bit steeper by using that alignment stick.
And as I feel the alignment stick, I feel like that stick for me, if you notice that butt of the club and stick actually points kind of just slightly down and forward, like you said, towards the ball.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay. All right, one more. Left hip lower, longer is what I'm feeling. Yeah, it feels really solid, dude. So, secret sauce, downswing, pelvic tilt, like to start the downswing, and we'll just be on a different video, but maybe some of this you're actually doing during the late backswing. But definitely immediately as you're starting down, first move, left hip lower.
Yep.
Pressure's working into that lead foot. And then that gets a low point forward, right shoulder, down
Shallows
then,
the
shallows the shaft. Perfect.
Got it.
So guys, 2 moves, downswing. I think those are the 2 most important in terms of how the body works, big time.
100%.
If you guys have any questions, concerns, thoughts, leave a comment down below. We'll put a card on the screen for a similar style video. We'll also put the card Cogorno Golf. If you want to learn the secret sauce with me and JT, you can head there. All right, thanks, dude.
Perfect. You got it.
Fun. Thank you.